Hello everyone and welcome to... This is Asia, and here's the United Arab Emirates. Now let's go, shall we? What's it like here on the Arabian Peninsula? It's very hot and mostly desert, but long ago this land was... also mostly desert. But before that, it was green and verdant, and ancient rock art shows that there were strange antelope creatures living there with big squiggly horns, and of course, there are no animals like that anymore. Anyway, over the millennia, Arabia became home to various cultures. Around 1000 BC, the people domesticated the camel, which helped with trade, and the people ate dates and made daggers to kill each other, especially people who stole dates. Part of the land also fell to the Persians, and there was a clever water supply system built that supplied water. Some say the system began in Iran, some say Arabia. Actually, it was me, but moving on. Coastal settlements gained wealth via trade, the Greeks recording the exports from this part of Arabia being pearls, gold, wine, slaves, and of course, dates. Iranian control returned with the Sasanian Empire, but that ended in the 7th century with the uniting of the Arab clans under the religion of Islam, which conquered and has dominated the peninsula ever since. So the centuries swished away and pearls became the mainstay of the region's economy. Then, in the 1500s, the Portuguese barged their way into the region and its trade network and built a number of forts to protect its interests. By the 18th century, however, Portuguese power had diminished as the Dutch and British ascended, and coastal Arab tribes began stepping up their interest in maritime affairs. The Al-Qawasim began targeting British merchant ships and killing their crews. This angered Britain, whose navy at the time was busy fighting Napoleon. In 1809, however, Britain sent a punitive force that succeeded in sinking many Qasimi vessels, but failed to stop the piracy. So the British returned and brutally crushed the Al-Qawasim, destroyed their forts, towns and ships, and those of allied sheikhs. The aftermath was that the British signed a treaty with the region's sheikhs, and piracy was effectively dismantled in the locale. This portion of Arabia was afterwards called the Trucial States, after the truce signed in 1853 that ensured peace. But there was still conflict between the Arabs. For example, the war between the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and Qatar. These emirates became a protectorate of the British Empire in 1892, but were generally left free to govern themselves. In the 20th century, the pearl industry crumbled after the Japanese developed the cultured pearl industry. But then oil was discovered, which would provide the enormous wealth of the Emirates. By the 1960s, the British decided it was too costly to maintain their military presence there and announced they would be withdrawing their forces. Iran went woohoo! And invaded and took control of these islands. Meanwhile, the ruler of Abu Dhabi pushed for the Emirates to unify, and they did, and in 1971 the United Arab Emirates was born, made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and later 7 Emirates. These two chose to be their own countries. Anyway, Zayed became the first president, and under his leadership, the UAE used its massive income from oil to build. Big buildings designed by some of the world's finest architects, the population becoming outnumbered by foreign workers, who nevertheless were not and are not allowed their own unions, nor are they allowed to go on strike. Anyway, the UAE today, despite some human rights issues, has a very high level of human development, and is one of the richest nations in the world with a strong tourist industry. Cities like Dubai, attracting visitors to the sparkly attractions of its oil-veined wonderlands. But what awaits the UAE in the years ahead? Comment below, but for now, bye-bye!